Yeah, so you're like booked out, like I have May 1st available for the rest of the year. That's it.
Hi, I'm Kristy. Welcome to my house. I've been in food and beverage about 27 years now. Started front of house, used to bartend, manage nightclubs, and breathe fire and flare bottles and all that fun stuff. And then decided to switch to kitchens about 15 years ago. So I was up in Kananaskis, Calgary, Grand Prairie, Kelowna, all over. And then when I decided to go to culinary school, I moved down to Lethbridge to take the program at the college here. My grandpa Vern actually ran the culinary department for 30 years, so when I went through, I got to learn from his old students and apprentices, which was great. They pushed me really hard. So during my 3-year Red Seal journeyman cook trade, I was the young chef president and then the secretary for the Southern Alberta branch of the Canadian Culinary Federation. I did 5 competitions, won 4 of my 5, did some stages and work exchanges, conferences, got to go to Edmonton, Ottawa, Outaouais, Newfoundland, PEI, Austria, Italy, Germany, backpacked the Czech Republic, came home, got to do Dion Phaneuf and Alicia Cuthbert's wedding, cooked for Motley Crue, did some ice carving, a whole bunch of other fun stuff, and then finished school with honors and moved to Calgary again. So I was at Briggs with Xavier Lacoste, Midtown. I was the head chef at the Lougheed House downtown, which is where I fell in love with old buildings and history. And then after that, took a summer off to flip eggs at Pinebrook Golf Course, which was great. So cooking for, 300 people a day and then eggs and toast for 5 retired guys. It was great. And then got back at it at Notable with Michael Noble. So I was sous chef there, and he was the first Canadian on Japanese Iron Chef. And then I was sous chef with Eric Ma at Perlou, and we got one of Canada's top 10 best new restaurants. And then 5 days later, COVID happened. So 80 hours a week in a kitchen to scrubbing baseboards with a toothbrush and watching Tiger King, as we all did. I do this full time, 5 days a week. And since starting this, it would have been summer of 2021. I went back to school again. I did my second Red Seal journeyman, but I did my baking and pastry program. And I did a 3-year program condensed into 10 months. Finished on the Dean's List. Was secretary again for the Culinary Federation for Southern Alberta. Took the president's position in September. And then also got added to the local apprenticeship committee to represent both my trades by the Board of Governors. Hired Sue in September, and now we're coaching her for her 4th competition since January. So she'll be at Nationals at the end of May, and yeah. So the house was built around 1902 by Oscar Raymond Knight. So Oscar Knight was a wealthy man down in Utah in the late 1800s, and at the time was one of the top 5 wealthiest cattle ranchers in the entire world. He had a bank and a railway and a gold mine and a silver mine, and he was winning at Monopoly, basically. So when Alberta was being settled, he came up with a bunch of pioneers and settled here and founded this town. So the town is named after him. He purchased over 400,000 acres of Southern Alberta, which is like Calgary South. Started 2 ranches, one of which is K2 or Knight Ranch that's still running today. It's now partnered with Deseret that's run by the Mormon Church. And this was his first house that he built in town here. He's also responsible for bringing up the sugar beets and helping that get established in Southern Alberta and putting in a lot of the irrigation. So after he decided to go back down to Utah, his son Jesse stayed behind and finished founding the town. And then the house went to the Meekses. It was a boarding house around the mid-1940s, 50s. And then in the mid-1960s, Ethel and Howard Hicken bought the house fully furnished for $3,000, which is crazy. And it was like 4 lots at the time, so it's down to 2 now. So a couple fun stories from them. They were here the longest. They raised 12 kids in this house. Ethel's now 94. She's got perfect hair, makeup, and nails every time we see her. She plays the piano in the parade every year. Howard was a World War II bomber pilot. He passed at 101 years old in 2021. But the driveway was poured in 1975 by one of their 16-year-old sons as his final shop project for high school. He got a B. The garage went on the same year, and Howard and his boys actually built a plane in the garage that they used to take out flying. Most of the glass on the main floor is still the original windows from 1902, except for the front room on the porch, because one of their sons put a motorcycle through it in the 80s. As you do. And so there's a lot more fun stories. After the Hickens, the house went to the Stones. They did a lot of work to the property. So it's all dirt underneath, and they went underneath and dug out bucket by bucket, hauled it out, all out, re-leveled the property. But some of my favorite things is the chandelier in the main dining room is originally from the York Hotel in Lethbridge. So the York went up in 1912. It was delayed due to Prohibition. So in the 90s when they were renovating, Jeannie got 2 of them. They were both here for a while, but I don't know where the second one went. They did do a lot of renos to the main floor, updated some of the lath and plaster, the electrical on the main floor, the hardy board on the exterior. They they put a lot of love into the main floor. The upstairs is next. So then after the Stones was Parks. Jonathan was a hairdresser. He actually used to host dinners out of this house as well. So they'd have upwards of 100 people on the main floor and do 3-course dinners, which I can't imagine having 100 people in here. And then it was a young family, Zemps. They had 3 kids. And then I got the house December of 2020. So this was my COVID project, was to buy an old house and restore it and find a way to keep working in my industry.
Do you want to talk a little bit about your process?
Menus are created when we go out looking for ingredients. So a lot of the time I start building it the morning of. We'll go around to different grocery shops, and Broxburn and Rubens, and Safeway's got great local product too. So we just kind of wander around, and I'll start at the butcher and get a cut of meat and then see where my brain takes me. And sometimes it's pure chaos, but they always come together really well. And a lot of it too is techniques that I've learned throughout my career from great mentors. And once you kind of understand the techniques, you can learn how to put anything together. So it's a lot of fun working with as much product from local farmers and as possible. And then trying to make it pretty, which is fun. Because then you start plating, and you're like, today it looks like this, and tomorrow it's gonna look like that, and see what happens.